These transnational attacks against members of the military and the government, including the planned car coalition targeting then VP-elect Scholz in Czechia, are tactics the PRC is using to intimidate Taiwanese, the cost they would have to bear if they dare to resist China. Taiwan is in the middle of an unprecedented mass recall campaign launched by civic volunteer groups. The vote will take place this coming Saturday. 31 of the KMT's 36 elected district legislators are facing bottom-up recall because many Taiwanese believe these lawmakers have forgotten that the KMT used to be an anti-communist party. As Taiwanese, we know that our freedom did not fall from the sky. Generations of Taiwanese have fought and made sacrifices for our own democracy. Last fall, our national baseball team won the World Baseball Softball Confederation's Premier 12 Championship. But our players were not allowed to wear jerseys bearing our country's name, nor could they proclaim our country's name in public. After hitting a divisive 3-run home run, our team's captain pointed to the blank space on his jersey where Taiwan should be, celebrating the name that cannot be named. This is the reality we live with, constantly being silenced by the PRC.
Czech intelligence uncovered a planned, quote, kinetic operation by the PRC to intimidate then Vice President-elect B. Kim on her visit there. Again, she's a friend of mine, a great person. The PRC has also harassed international media outlets for interviewing Taiwanese leaders. Individuals around the world who criticize Beijing's Taiwan policy have been doxxed and placed under surveillance. This is transnational repression. For 75 years, the People's Republic of China has vowed to bring Taiwan under its control. We have our own Taiwan Relations Act. We have the One China policy. However, in recent years, that pressure, not just, by the way, with regard to Taiwanese, but other people, including American citizens, has intensified and globalized, with Beijing not only targeting Taiwan across the strait, it is projecting intimidation across borders, institutions, using political transnational repression as tools of coercion among people across the globe. The title of this hearing rhymes with major legislation of mine, the Stand With Taiwan Act. That bill, which I've introduced in the last two Congresses and will soon be introducing again, has great bipartisan support. Senators Graham, Duckworth, and Coons are the top co-sponsors, and I would encourage strong bipartisan support with my colleagues here. And what that would do is if there is a military invasion of Taiwan by the Communist Party and the PLA of China, this would trigger punishing comprehensive sanctions on the Chinese economy and particularly leaders of the Chinese Communist Party, punishing economic, trade, financial, energy. We all want deterrence in the Taiwan Strait, and I think the threat of these massive sanctions might be critical in terms of deterring a cross-strait invasion of Taiwan by the PLA. We also need to deal with the here and now of Chinese coercion abroad. And again, this hearing is going to focus on the coercion of Taiwanese citizens, but I want to make sure, and I certainly will be asking questions in my Q&A with the witnesses of repression of others, people from Hong Kong, American citizens, which is really unacceptable when that happens by the Chinese Communist Party. they're good at coercing their own citizens, but they're not going to, with this Congress, be allowed to coerce Americans or those who are our allies. These threats are multifaceted. AI-generated disinformation, the extraterritorial application of PRC laws, of course, diplomatic pressure on Taiwan's allies, the public intimidation of democratically elected leaders. By the way, that's something the Chinese Communist Party would never do. They'd never stand for election themselves. They fear their own people because they know they probably wouldn't get elected if they had to stand for elections. So that makes them nervous when there's people who actually stand for elections like we do. PRC is also attempting to rewrite international norms, distorting UN General Assembly Resolution 2758 and pressuring countries to embrace Beijing's view that all necessary measures it might use to achieve unification with regard to Taiwan. Most disturbingly, the PRC has labeled Taiwan's vice president, who I know well and is a good friend of mine, and other officials as obstinate Taiwan independence diehards, threatening them with life imprisonment or worse. It has declared any Taiwanese citizen, including those living abroad, can be punished under PRC law. In a closed-door meeting earlier this year, senior CCP officials Wang Huing reportedly called for a global expansion of these intimidation tactics. According to credible reporting, Wang instructed embassies and security services, hopefully they're not doing it here in America, but they probably are, to implement, quote, proactive intimidation against so-called radical Taiwanese independence advocates worldwide, including in the United States of America. These are not abstract threats. Last year, Czech intelligence uncovered a planned, quote, kinetic operation by the PRC to intimidate then Vice President-elect B. Kim on her visit there. Again, she's a friend of mine, a great person. The PRC has also harassed international media outlets for interviewing Taiwanese leaders. Individuals around the world who criticize Beijing's Taiwan policy have been doxxed and placed under surveillance. This is transnational repression. I am honored to welcome Ms. Fan Yun, a member of the legislature of Taiwan. She will be zooming in with us, I believe, for the Democratic Progressive Party, who joins us virtually from Taiwan. And has been a champion of democracy for decades, participating in various pro-democracy movements in Taiwan, including the 1990 Wild Lily Students Movement and the 2014 Sunflower Movement. She is also currently serves as an advisor for Democracy Without Borders and is a member of the Interparliamentarian Alliance on China. So without further ado, hopefully we have the connection here. Virtually, we'll have MP Fan with her testimony.
I would also like to thank the U.S. Congress and administration for your long-standing bipartisan support for Taiwan. Last fall, our national baseball team won the World Baseball Softball Confederation's Premier 12 Championship, but our players were not allowed to wear jerseys bearing our country's name, nor could they proclaim our country's name in public. After hitting a divisive 3-run home run, our team's captain pointed to the blank space on his jersey where Taiwan should be, celebrating the name that cannot be named. This is the reality we live with, constantly being silenced by the PRC. However, enduring such political warfare has also built up our capacity to resist. As the title of this hearing suggests, in addition to growing military threats and economic coercion, the PRC's political warfare against Taiwan has also escalated. Their tactics include manipulation of international laws, united front work activities, espionage, infiltration, and disinformation campaigns. In terms of lawfare, the PRC has twisted the UN Resolution 2758 for political propaganda in the international arena. They not only aim to suppress Taiwan's participation in various international organizations, but also seeks to legitimize the use of force to annex Taiwan. In addition, the Taiwan has intensified its united front and infiltration efforts within Taiwan. According to our National Security Bureau, the number of spy activity indictments in 2024 was 4 times higher than in 2021, rising from 16 to 64. Targets include the military, the parliament, both the ruling party and the opposition, and civic groups. The PRC has even recruited gangsters to build an armed support network all over Taiwan. The PRC has also established united front organizations in Taiwan to invite religious groups, village chiefs, and college students on heavily subsidized trips to China. For college students, there are special programs attracting young Taiwanese to study, work, or start businesses in China. These activities aim to integrate them into China's economy and eventually come to view China's politics and culture in a positive light. After last year's elections, the 2 major opposition parties formed a majority voting bloc in Taiwan's legislative yuan. After their electoral victory, the leading opposition party, KMT's caucus leader, led 17 of its lawmakers, nearly 1/3 of the entire caucus, to visit China and meet Chinese officials. Shortly thereafter, the KMT, along with the TPP, rushed to put through a series of unconstitutional bills, prevented the national security legal amendments from proceeding to a first reading, and froze or slashed the national defense budget without proper justification. Many Taiwanese believe these actions show how pro-China forces are exploiting Taiwan's democratic mechanisms to undermine both its sovereignty and democracy. In terms of disinformation, our National Security Bureau reported that messages with China's influence increased from 1.3 million in 2023 to 2.2 million in 2024, being spread through newspapers and TV stations, as well as social media platforms such as TikTok. According to a think tank GTI, some media outlets have received direct instructions from the CCP's Taiwan Affairs Office regarding news coverage and editorial commentary. The PRC also funds Taiwanese influencers to produce content in China that align with its political agenda. What's the goal of the PRC's political warfare? Firstly, it seeks to distort the world's understanding of Taiwan, specifically by framing cross-strait conflicts as a domestic issue to isolate Taiwan. Secondly, the PRC works to erode Taiwanese people's confidence in the United States. A recent poll found that TikTok users in Taiwan are more likely to view China favorably and more likely to believe that a pro-USA government might provoke war. This is a clear sign that the disinformation is influencing TikTok users, most of whom are young people. Thirdly, by spreading false narratives, the PRC aims to make Taiwanese either lose confidence in their government or disengage from politics. Potentially, these actions can ultimately lead people to lose the motivation and willpower to defend our democracy. These transnational attacks against members of the military and the government, including the planned car coalition targeting then VP-elect Shaw in Czechia, are tactics the PRC is using to intimidate Taiwanese, the cost they would have to bear if they dare to resist China. Even now, as I am speaking, Taiwan is in the middle of an unprecedented mass recall campaign launched by civic volunteer groups. The vote will take place this coming Saturday. 31 of the KMT's 36 elected district legislators are facing bottom-up recall because many Taiwanese believe these lawmakers have forgotten that the KMT used to be an anti-communist party. As Taiwanese, we know that our freedom did not fall from the sky. Generations of Taiwanese have fought and made sacrifices for our own democracy. We are working very hard to prevent a war from happening. However, Taiwan alone will not be enough to deter China's aggression. As you must all be aware, Taiwan's security is not only critical to the stability of the region, but also key to the global economy. Standing with Taiwan, we can work together to protect our shared value, prosperity, and the rules-based global order. Thank you all for your time and support.